Michael, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into your story and find out where you ended up where you are today and all the help that you're helping with creators and people launching things and all the things in between. But why don't we start out with who is Michael today, and then we'll break down how you got there.
Oh, so I am the founder and CEO. Well, the titles at this kind of size doesn't really make a lot of sense, to be quite honest, of Fanfare. So I have an engineering background and found myself through various places, small startups, medium-sized startups, large companies, through into founding Fanfare a few years ago. I'm a first-time founder. I'm learning some lessons along the way, painfully, occasionally. But this has been a blast. So I'm enjoying myself dealing with the occasional painful moment and, working on Fanfare.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine your schedule is insane right now, especially launching a company and being the guy at the helm and making sure everything's running smoothly. So, obviously, thank you so much for taking the time out and having this conversation. But let's talk a little bit about that jump, right? Oh, being a guy who worked for companies, big companies,
Hmm.
and jumped into deciding, hey, I'm going to launch my own thing. What was that like? What was the internal struggle that you had before making that decision final?
I mean, I've kind of done a Goldilocks tour of company sizes. So I've been at very small startups. The first company I joined out of college was a 6, 7 person startup that was scooped up, luckily, thankfully, at the start of 2007 by Salesforce. I found myself at large company doing large company things and really craved that kind of close to the customer. You reach for a thing and it's not there. You have to define that thing. Those kind of things really excited me. I feel like you learn a ton reaching into areas that you're not all that familiar, and you find yourself at startups doing that almost on a daily basis. So that's kind of how I found my way through to eventually into LA, working for a live events ticketing company called Rival. Again, much smaller company, 7, 8 people. Through a good chunk of the years, I was the founding engineer there at Rival,
Wow.
and we were scooped up at the start of the pandemic by Ticketmaster of all people. And the issue for me was really clear from a consumer perspective, which is everyone has felt that pain of getting tickets to a live event. Like we've all been there, whether it's
Yeah.
Oasis, Taylor Swift. I'm not sure if you're a Swiftie, but it's expected that it's painful, right? I'm going to have my multiple tabs open. I'm going to have my friends on a call. We're all going to be sat there. We're going to be staring at a spinner. 100,000 people in line in front of us, here for hours. Don't leave your desk. All of that pain, and then seeing those seats immediately on a secondary site for like 10x, 100x the price.
Yeah.
It's a terrible consumer experience. And from the vendor's perspective, those are incredibly hard moments to manage. You have these huge spikes in traffic, and you have a ton of bad actors and bots showing up all at once. And we solved for that through the process at Rival. We were focused on some of the largest events and ticketing those incredibly hyped up events. And through the acquisition at Ticketmaster, like I kept seeing this problem again and again, not just in live events, but in retail, like sneaker drops. Like I'm an aspiring sneakerhead. I have my wall of shame in my wardrobe. And every time I attended one of these things, it was just chaos. Like people getting frustrated, immediately heading to Reddit and X to vent their frustration. And this feeling like we've solved this problem. Like there is a better way to do this. And, it's a really difficult problem, even for people who are well resourced like a Ticketmaster. For a smallish brand where, you've gathered an audience, you have an interesting story that's gathered a ton of people's interest, to suddenly find yourself with a million people showing up at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning is just not a problem you can get your arms around. So that's where Fanfare steps in. That's where we take over and handle that ridiculous spike in traffic, metering people through, making sure the process goes well, and make sure that you keep your fans loyal and make sure that you treat them with the respect they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, I know, especially Ticketmaster, just everything that they do, but they have the monopoly on it, right? Like everything, so many big shows go through Ticketmaster. And to answer your question, no, I'm not a Swiftie, although she did grow up in my town that I live in, Wyomissing,
Hmm.
Pennsylvania. So I have met her many, many years ago when she was just getting famous. I'm not a Swiftie. My stepdaughter is, so we've got some Taylor Swift playing in the house every once in a while. But I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. Let's talk a little bit about Fanfare and the problems that it's solving and how it's helping creators keep their customers and their fans happy.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been through that process, right? Whether it's the Switch 2 going on sale, whether it's a sneaker drop, whether it's some collectibles that you're into. Like again, same expectation that when I go and try and buy these things, it's going to be painful. And it's a really powerful model, like using scarcity in this way. Like we all want what we can't have, but it comes with all of this baggage. Like
Yeah.
brands just have to kind of cross their fingers and hope that the platform they're using doesn't fall over, that bots don't completely come in and destroy the experience for everyone else, and that they try and capture some information and try and avoid some of that frustration. And what I see and what we see with brands is often it doesn't go well. Like crossing your fingers and hoping is just not a good strategy for these kind of events. And not only do you lose fans in that moment, you lose revenue. You have to, often spend weeks trying to claw things back and try and fix people's issues because bots came in and ruined the experience. And I just see immense value in those moments. I think Gen Z is three times more likely to attend an event like this than any other generation. Like we increasingly head to social media to engage and discover products. And it's a really powerful model, but it just comes with too much pain. And that's where Fanfare steps in and helps brands, creators, artists set up events like this and to capture people's information, regardless of whether they're successful or not in that experience.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about how that works, like on the back end. So is this something that you like couple with your platform that so talk a little bit about how it works.
Yeah, so we sit in front of that experience that you already have. So let's say you have your product page and you're going to launch a particular sneaker, let's say. So we would work with those brands and we would sit on top of that vendor. Let's say it's Shopify. We would embed into that product page and then we would manage that experience for you. So we would make sure that things are only on sale when you expect them to be, like 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. We can make sure that certain groups of people have different times that they can come in and different allocations when they do. So I want my VIPs to come in at 9 a.m. and everyone else can come in at 11 a.m. And then we remove all of the bad actors and the bots from that process. So we filter that out on behalf of the brand. And we also capture all of that information of people who come in who are just unlucky through that process. Like I've been in so many sneaker drops where it's like my third, fourth attempt. Like it's really valuable information to know that I keep coming back. Even though I fail, I keep coming back. I'm a potential VIP. You should reach out to those people and bring them into the next experience, right? You should give them exclusive access or early access to something you have coming up. And in that way, you can reward people's time and build a community and build that loyalty with your fan base.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great way to look at it, right? And I think everything online is switching over to community, right? Build a community. Don't just look at
Yeah.
them as a customer. Don't just look at them as a paycheck or whatever. It's about building a community and really nurturing that. And this really does that at scale. Even the people who are maybe even just lurkers, right? People who are like on the periphery paying attention, but like I don't know who they are, who's watching, who's paying attention here. Um, when you were doing this, did you realize the trend in community building online? You're like, this is what I'm going to do, or like, was it just a perfect timing, perfect place type of scenario?
Yeah, it's kind of something I felt, especially been in live events. Like there's absolutely this feeling of fandom and community. Like you're a Swiftie, right? There's a name for the thing you are once you're in that community. And the more I ventured into this, the more I saw these same kind of communities around sneaker drops, around collectibles, like around even luxury items. Like people get really attached to certain brands because of a certain quality they put out or something. And yeah, like you said, it's a really powerful thing that you can tap into. And if you can keep people coming back and really anticipating the stuff that you have coming up and have people who are engaged. who will give you feedback, who will like contribute and be advocates for the brand. That's a really powerful model. But again, it comes with some dangers, which is when you create high expectations with your fans, you really have to deliver. If you don't, they get frustrated, they leave, and they usually drag you on social media. So yeah, that's it's a really good thing, but it's also just fraught with all kinds of things that can go wrong.
Who's the perfect avatar for something like this? I know we're talking about big brands like sneaker drops and Taylor Swift tickets and all these things. Who else would be an advocate for this and really benefit from it?
Yeah, I think the up and comers, the people who have a strong narrative, who are great at storytelling, who are great at differentiating themselves. One of the brands we spoke to a few years ago, Mischief. I don't know if you're familiar with Mischief.
Hmm.
They started life as a consultancy, like marketing agency, who were creating these moments for other brands, and they felt like, we can do this ourselves. And they've done some really interesting, like kind of antagonistic sometimes to their customer base things that drive interest. And then they combine that with more down the line sneaker drops and things like that drive revenue. But it's a really interesting model that Mischief have gone after. And yeah, I think that's a model I see more and more people following just because it's going to be, I think, harder and harder for people to differentiate themselves with everything that's available, all the tooling that's available to all of these brands is going to become more and more important.
Yeah, and I think too that there's more competition, right? Like all these people who are amassing large followings on social media who start to roll out a product, whether it's a clothing line or whether it's a something that they're using all the time. Like, you know, there's going to be more and more people going forward that are going to obviously need this tool. But I want to talk about your journey a little bit more as far as like into the entrepreneur space. What's the mindset shift you have to take going from being an engineer, which we know is analytical, to being somebody who's at the forefront, who's the creative, who's getting the word out, who's creating the partnerships? What has that been like for you?
Yeah, I think it's been a gradual pushing myself into uncomfortable situations and then realizing that it's fine. Like it's going to be okay, that I can get through those moments and I can be better at the other side of it. And like as an engineer, introverted, headphones on, laser focused, gradually understanding that you need to, if you want to build anything of merit, anything of scale, you need to be able to build with a team, right? And then you build up more communication chops, the ability to wrangle people and tell a story and get people invested in it. And as that went on through my career, I found that like the more I push myself into areas that I'm not comfortable with, like the more I find places that I actually, find joy in things that I didn't expect. Like I feel like I'm pretty logical through my career, like being an engineer that helps, but also just finding moments of joy in like creative things that I do, like design things, like stuff that I'm not necessarily good at, but that I actually enjoy doing. Like I enjoy
Yeah.
tinkering around and creating demo videos and like little show reels and things like that. So that's been, I guess, an important journey for me. And then finally, like actually taking the plunge, it was more of I think it's a put up or shut up moment. Like I've built up enough chops where I should be able to do this. I can see a problem in front of me. I know that we've tackled something like this in the past. I know it's going to be painful. Like I know I'm going to uncover all kinds of things about myself that I didn't realize, about this industry that I didn't realize. There's going to be some late nights. There's going to be some tears, but we'll get there, right? And it's going to be this journey that I learn along the way. So that was, I think, just believing in the process, believing that just you have to take one step after the other, and that no one is born with these skills. You develop them by pushing yourselves into situations where you can grow those skills. So just finding opportunities to try and do that best I can.
Yeah, that it kind of answers my next question. I was going to ask is being an entrepreneur that something that's innate in somebody or it's a skill that somebody can learn? I heard somebody say recently, I think it was on my podcast when I was interviewing them, like only 2 to 5% of people are actually meant to be entrepreneurs. And now it's cool, right? Like it's cool to be an entrepreneur. So everybody's like, I want to build my own business. I want to do this stuff. But I like how you worded that, right? It's about building that thick skin. It's about putting in the reps. What have you noticed putting in the reps that has changed over the last, several months, years, whatever, that gets you to this place now where you're answering to investors. You're still trying to build this thing out to the next level. Like, what would you say are the best skills that you've learned in order to become that entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, communication for sure. Like if you're pitching, you have to really understand your audience. You have to understand how to thread a narrative. And that's something that, as an engineer, you can often get lost in the detail and talk about the cool thing that you've been building. No one cares about the cool thing you've been building, right? They care about the problem that you're solving, and you have to really understand that. So that's been helpful. Um, I think just, the more you do a thing, the easier it becomes. Like you find just grooves that you'll fall into. You'll know that, I've done this 10 times before and it went fine, right? And just keep going through that and you'll feel more comfortable with it over time. So that's definitely where I see like no one's perfect. No one's a finished piece of art. We're all works in progress. And the best any of us can do is just kind of push ourselves and try and discover where our weak points are and try and adjust for them. But yeah, I feel like it's always been in me to try and do the things that make me uncomfortable. I don't know if that is an innate trait or whether it's just been, over the years of moving over from the UK, that's not gone okay. Like going to small startups and things have worked out that I've
Yeah.
just kind of got survivorship bias, maybe.
No, for
But
sure.
yeah, I think it's an interesting. I mean, everyone's journey is different, and everyone is completely unique. I do see a lot of cookie cutter advice out there. The 5 things that you need to do if you're going to be successful, the 10 things you need to stop doing right now. Everyone is their own person. And what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. Like I find jumping in my car, even though I'm in LA and driving around LA is the most frustrating thing. If you've
It
ever done
really
it,
is.
it really is. For me, it's calming. Like if I need to just think something through or just ease off before I go into the next task, I find like going for a little drive around does that for me. I don't know why, but it just does. And, that might be like maybe Justin does something else. Maybe you go for a run, maybe something else. And I think it's important that you just find those things for yourself and know that, you're kind of, I'm 45 as of today, kind of set. I
Yeah.
can adjust things. I can adjust things that fit me, but I'm not going to change radically. You just have to try and be the best version of yourself at this point. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, such great advice because it's not a one size fits all. There's lessons to be learned, right? Like you need to go out and reset in some way, in shape or form. For you, it's driving around the worst city in the world to drive around in. But for
Uh,
others, it like you said, you got to figure out what's your thing, and it's the process of elimination. It's trying new things and seeing what works. I have a number of friends who have started businesses and they've gone the investor route. Some say great things about it, some not so great things about it. I know you've gone the investor route with the launch of your
mhm.
company. What's it been like for you, not only going out and pitching, which I'm sure is a stressful thing to do, but also like what type of investors do you look for? Who are the ones that are really helping the company? Because obviously money's great, but like there's got to be some other things that helps too.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate. We found some incredible investors, and they help like beyond the money, like advice, connections. Like investors are perennially networking, right? They know everyone, and that's
Yeah.
incredibly helpful to find someone or a group of people who can connect you in to all kinds of brands, retailers that you couldn't reach on your own. So that's incredibly helpful. The pitching process is tough. It takes a lot of time. I think if I was to do it back, I would have for sure dedicated more time building up some of the metrics that would have made it easier. I probably had expectations around how long it would take, which didn't work out. Um, it's a hard process, but I would say like it helps sharpen your message for sure. For us, we're kind of going after a niche. So there's high volume sneaker drops and things like that. And that can be a challenge. Like you're not necessarily talking to an audience who participate. Right? This is more of a Gen Z thing. Like how often are VCs turning up on a Monday morning for a sneaker drop? Right? Probably not. They're probably getting their PA to do it for them, right?
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. But when we found investors where they knew the area, like they were deep in retail, then you could just shortcut a whole chunk of the conversation, and you could just jump to, the problem that you're solving and how you're solving it and the details. And those are your people. I think those are like it takes a while to find them, but once you find them, like they're incredibly useful.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of like who you know is the most valuable asset you have, right? The
Yep.
relationships that you've built over time that's the game changer in life, right? Like the greatest thing that this podcast has done for me is it allowed me to network with some of the greatest names in the
Mm.
world, right? And so like all of a sudden my Rolodex is ridiculous. And so who can, hey, I'm doing this, who can I lean on or ask the right question from, or who does that person know? And it becomes like
Yep.
the greatest networking, right? And you're doing that through the VCs and everything like that, which is absolutely incredible. So we're talking a lot about sneakerheads. I am not a sneakerhead. I wear old school white Reeboks. If you ever see me speaking on a stage, they're always pearly white because I buy them right before. Other than that, I don't know much about sneakers. What's your holy grail of sneaker?
For me, there's some LVMH Air Force Ones, green, monogrammed. They look incredible. They're always, I mean, they were like, once we hit a certain level, I will go out and buy a pair. I am so far from that right now, but like we'll get there.
How much are they
Those
asking
are
for
my,
them?
they're a few $1,000s.
Yeah. A few
But
thousand
they
bucks you
look,
wear them once and then put them back in the box and just leave them on the shelf. Like that's the crazy part about sneakerheads. Like
yep.
I don't know why it became my algorithm on TikTok, but started like seeing videos of guys selling their sneakers and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, these were never worn." I'm like, "Why are you owning these sneakers that you never wear? Like, isn't the point? Isn't the point to wear them?" It's just like
It,
maybe it's the 41 year. I mean, I know you said you're 45 and you're in that world, but maybe it's the 41-year-old in me going, "Oh yeah, like that's I don't know if I could do that. Like I'm the guy who, my whole life I bought the toy and I immediately took it out of the box. You know what I mean? And I'm
mm,
certainly not the other. I wish, don't get me wrong, I had some toys back in the day. If I still had it in the box, I'd be a very rich man. But unfortunately, I made sure I played with it, and that would be the same thing with the sneakers for me. So I want to ask you.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's interesting going to like ComplexCon and other conferences where people will show up and they have like that pair of sneakers that they just have sat there all year. Like they dust them off, they bring them out for a special occasion, and everyone's doing the same thing. So like everyone's kind of gingerly walking around trying not to tread on each other's toes. I
Don't
remember
crease
one
them.
year, don't crease them. One year in Long Beach, it had rained and the food area was outside, and everyone was kind of tiptoeing through the mud. It was kind of an interesting thing to see.
That's really funny. So I want to ask you a question that I ask every single person on the show. It's a two-part question. The first part is, what is your definition of success? And the second part is, what are three things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
I think success for me is moving forward and feeling like I can help other people move forward. I think, where I've been fortunate to work with incredible people in a team, like the feeling that the team is leveling up and the feeling like we're doing something meaningful as a group and that I'm learning along that journey, like that's a really important thing for me. And how do I do that? How do I make sure I do that every day? I mean, I think I'm very much focusing on the discipline of a thing. Like these things tend to be marathons. Like anything that's worth doing requires you to just grind. Like you just have to work. And that's what I do. That's how I go about that. Is like I try and be that person that people can look to when they're trying to figure out like how they should act, how they should work, like those kind of things are important to me. So that's what I do every day.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great definition because I think so many people think success is like the end goal, right? It's the money
Mm.
mark or it's the whatever, right? Like, but to realize that life is a consistent growth, right? It's the end of the day. It's like we're going to hopefully be growing until the day we die, and people who miss that, they're not living their fulfilled life, and it's sad to see. So I love that answer that you gave me. So what's next for Fanfare?
I mean, we're pushing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We have some interesting stuff for in real life experiences come out towards the end of the year, which I'm excited for. Like I'm a live events person, so the
Yeah.
idea of like gathering a community, like a big group of people together in an event is really exciting. So we have some exciting stuff coming up in Paris this year. We're going to be demoing the products in Paris, which is going to be fun. And yeah, I just continue growing and working with brands, and hopefully through Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we can help some consumers out and avoid some headaches that they would normally have.
Yeah, I love it, man. So you're saying you're going to be hosting your own event, or you're just going to be at other people's events?
Yeah, we're going to be launching this at a conference in Paris, NRF, in September. But yeah, the plan is to do as many of these live events as possible. I think LA is the perfect place to kind of do that overlapping thing of hype and live events. So, more and more opportunities to do this throughout the end of the year and then towards 2026.
I love it, man. So I want to ask you this question. I want you to fast forward in your life, and you're towards the end of your life, and Fanfare is blown up, and everybody's using it to help support their cause. Uh, but once you pass, everything that you've built has disappeared. So Fanfare no longer exists. Any podcast interview you've done doesn't exist, and you can only be remembered for one sentence. What would you want that sentence to be?
We had fun and I learned a lot from him. Like that's it.
I love it. I love it. So I wrap up every single interview with the same question, but before we get there, um, where can people get more information about Fanfare? How can they follow along to figure out, when your live events pop up? What's all the good stuff?
Yeah, the first place to go is our website, so fanfare.io. We have a bunch of case studies up there now of brands who've run events like this in the past and things that you can do, things that you should not do, things to look out for when you're running this kind of event. So definitely head there and just hit me up. Just I'm always on LinkedIn for my sins, so you can find me on there. Just grab some of my time. Always happy to talk to anyone about these kind of events, these live events. If you're creating a moment, if you're an up and coming brand, reach out. Like happy to talk through what we can do for you.
I love it, man. So, like I said, I wrap up every single interview with the same question since the show is called The Growth Now Movement. That question is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
It's been those moments that I've done something terrible, you know. It's been those moments where I've, you know, done something that I look back on. I'm like, why did you do that? And like course correcting. So for me, there's like a few moments engineering wise where I can point to a moment where, something exploded at 3 in the morning and like I was on the hook for it and like absolutely not doing that again. But also things where I feel like I could have done better, like looking back on those moments, like why did I choose that path? That wasn't right.
Yeah.
And feeling like I should fix those. Like it's definitely those moments where you fuck something up. I feel like
Yeah.
those are the moments that you learn the fastest. They're painful, but you look back on them, you're like, I'm glad I went through that because like I feel better on the other side.
Yeah, and you never do it again, that's for sure. Those moments in your life that happened 15 years ago and you lay down at night and for some reason it pops up in your head and you're like, "Oh," and you just feel it, you feel it all over again. That is for
Absolutely.
damn sure you will not do that again, no matter what
Yeah.
scenario your life has
That,
taken. Dude, I've loved this conversation, Michael. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. And guys, make sure you go check out Fanfare. Thanks, man.
yeah, thank you. That was a great convo. Thank you.